Hey, what's up? It's Sherman here. So I've been thinking a lot lately about something, and I figured I should talk about it on the YouTubes. Within MBTI, there's this kind of like strange idea that one type is better than another type. Even with people who are just learning about it, like really new to the whole thing. Like I'll give an assessment to somebody or tell them, what I think their type is and have them check it out. And they're like, oh yeah, that's it. But am I the good type? Am I the right one? It's pretty ridiculous. And I'll get into it in a second. There's another version of this same kind of idea that one type is better than another type, and it comes about through people who have studied it a little bit longer, who are more into MBTI, but still not like fully aware of how all the stuff works, all the different types and dynamics work. And those people are the ones that say like, well, intuitives are better than sensors, or thinkers are better than feelers. And it's pretty fucking ridiculous, honestly. And like there are these stereotypes that people resort to when explaining these things. And I've touched on them too. But it's definitely not how I really feel about it. It's just an easier way to explain some of these things. But when they're kind of twisted and used to like belittle somebody, that's when I think there's a real problem with it. Like the stereotypes of, thinkers are robotic and, they have no heart, right? Or feelers are just like super squishy emo types and they're just like overflowing with emotions all the time, or can't control their emotions. And intuitives are these super creative, like special breed of humans, right? Which is not true, right? And then on the other side of that, there's the idea of like, well, because intuitives are this like super creative style class, then the sensors are way too down to earth and like stuck in the concrete, in the earth, and they're just like not ever going to produce anything creative, right? Like I said, it's complete bullshit. And I think it needs to stop. Right? Let's see. So when I was younger, just even like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even closer than that, I really didn't like the idea that I was a feeler. I'm an INFP, right? And I was like trying so hard to be this robot, right? To never share emotions, never feel emotions, because that's how you get hurt. That's how problems happen, right? Is by letting people into your world and, expressing yourself. So just don't do it, right? So I was working towards this kind of like robotic side, denying the fact that I was a feeler, right? Denying emotions and all this other stuff. And it wasn't all that bad. I did, gain a lot of kind of detached understanding of things, right? Different approach to making decisions and whatnot, by trying to just ignore this emotional side and focus on how is it really in this world, like detached. But I did that for a little too long, I think. and then when I decided to kind of change it and really embrace who I was, and the fact that I do feel things very strongly and whatnot, like everybody does, but I think intuitive feelers definitely have a different blend, a different approach to those, right? Those feelings and values and emotions. when I started embracing that, I felt a lot better. I felt like I could actually help people now because I understand where they're coming from, and I can relate it to my subjective experiences and whatnot in a very deep way with many different shades of emotions and levels and whatnot. Um, so what I'm saying is basically that it's good to experiment with the other cognitive functions, the other classes, as I call them here. But really embrace who you are, right? The way I think of it is like you're in this adventuring party. I like to bring everything back to games and stuff like that, right? You're in this adventuring party or this raid, right? And if everybody is the same class, if you're all healers, it's going to be a really crappy group. You're not going to get too far, right? You can just constantly heal each other and worry about how everybody feels and never get anything really done, right? Or if they're all ranged units, like all hunters, right? Intuitives, then you're not going to have anybody to tank it. You're not going to have anybody to like protect the group and push, forward with the real object, right? It's just going to be dancing around everything, kiting around everything. And sure, you'll get a lot of, really creative ideas and it might be fun, but you're not going to have that like solid ground to stand on, right? Or that shield to protect, what's really happening in the tangible world, right? Or if you're all warriors, right? You're all melee. Then what happens when you need to take that step back and you can't approach it in the real time, in the real world, right? You need to think theoretically and figuratively about things. You're going to struggle with it, right? Same with if it's all thinkers. It's all mages, right? If the whole world was thinkers, then you're not going to have that like real interest in making decisions based on how people feel about things, right? And it's going to cause a lot of problems, right? You're not going to get this nice blend of different decisions and actionable approaches, right? So that's how I think about it. And, it's good to have this mix, this different variety of different classes, different approaches, different, styles, right? Because that's how you do damage to what needs to be attacked, in the sense of if a boss is all resistant to magic, you're not going to want to do magic damage to it. You're going to want to approach it in a different way, right? In real life, you can't always approach things and situations and whatnot with this one style, this one attitude, right? You're going to need to look at it from other perspectives every once in a while in order to get a big, full understanding of what it is. So, whenever anybody talks about, the different types and like, oh, well, this kind is better than this kind, or, INFPs are not as good as INFJs because blah, blah, blah. And, the rarity thing is something that a lot of people talk about, right? Like, well, we're only 2% of the whole world, so, we're way better and more unique and all this other stuff. And who really cares? Like, you need to have specific types of people to do specific things in the world. You need people to make sure everybody's comfortable, and you need people to like trust the past and to use that to move forward and build a stable future for the world, right? But you also need creative ideas, and you need like just different kind of approaches to things that people haven't thought about, right? So you need all of this. You can't just have one, right? And because of that, there is no better type. There's no better style. There's no better class or whatever you want to call it. It's just different. It's a different approach, different way of looking at it. And it's all good. There's no need to scream outside my window like those people are doing, right? You can just embrace it for what it is. Embrace yourself for who you are, and your unique strengths and weaknesses, right? And just really realize where you stand and how you can help other people, how you can help yourself, how you might struggle, how you need help, right? And if you take it with that mindset, I think you're going to have a better approach to those kind of people who kind of mess you up a little bit, mainly because of your inferior function. Like when I always struggled with extroverted thinkers because I'm an introverted feeler. It's the kind of mirror opposite, right? It's on that other side of the spectrum. And when I really started thinking that, well, okay, it's just a different approach, it's a different way of looking at things, it's fine, is when I accepted that as part of me, accepted that, extroverted thinking is something that is within my top 4, within my cognitive function stack, right? And I should embrace it instead of fight it, right? And I should embrace those people who are great at that and aspire to at least get an understanding of how they do that, right? Because it's going to balance me out. It's going to help me out in the long run. Okay, well, anyway, that was just a little rant on this topic that I've been thinking about for a little while. If you have any questions, comments, just want to start a conversation, whatever it is, you can write below. Please subscribe, do all that good stuff. Go to the website, geekpsychology.com. Anything like that. Share this with somebody that you think it might help, because it helps me. All right. Thanks a lot. Good luck. Have fun. See ya.